This should be episode, I should have looked, 36, I want to say, because I don't think I numbered the Vogue episode. I think we're at 36. It could be 35. Or I could be on a completely random different number. That's just how it goes. So welcome to the Modern Skein podcast. My name is Sharon Graff, and I am the owner of the Modern Skein, which is a yarn shop here in Montgomery, Texas. We are thrilled to bring you this wide variety of amazing yarns from amazing indie dyers all around the world. And this podcast kind of brings to light maybe some brands you maybe haven't heard of before that we've brought into the shop, the things that we are working on here in the shop, our store samples, patterns that we are loving, designers that we're loving, yarns that we're loving, and just all around good yarny awesomeness. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you're a new viewer, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you want to be included with the return viewers, all you have to do is subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. And then if you want to get notifications, hit the little bell button. And that will give you a notification each time that a podcast is uploaded. I do try to stick to a once a week upload schedule. Doesn't always work out because of how busy the shop can get, and I do have a life outside of the yarn shop, shockingly enough, but I do try and stick to it as much as possible. So let's jump right in. I actually have 2 finished objects this week. 2, because Josh and I went away for the weekend for a little R&R relaxation time to hopefully get rid of the creeping Vogue crud, as everyone is calling it, or the Vogue plague, that seems like 90% of the people that attended Vogue ended up getting. I myself, I think my allergies turned into the crud. But I am 99.9% completely over it. You might hear a little bit of it still in my voice, and I have been sneezing an awful lot, which is kind of odd. But I am so much better. So, going away for the weekend, let me concentrate on some old whips. Not necessarily that they were old, but they were just hanging around for far too long. And I was bound and determined to get them finished while we were away. And I finished 2 of them, which that was great. They're really the 2 oldest that I brought with me. I have finished the Kyler shawl, which, if you've remembered, gosh, I started this, I think, back in the fall sometime. Ends are not woven in yet. It has been blocked, so the lace pattern is stretched out. Did my earring just fall out? My earring just fell out. Excuse me. That was very odd. Yeah. Huh. Okay. So this is the Kyler shawl. Again, it has been blocked. The ends are not woven in completely. So we can really see this lace pattern now beautifully. It may be hard to see on camera, but let me see. Can you see that? It's kind of a chevron shape. It's gorgeous. And it is a massive shawl. So this took me, so there's where you start. You go. And you go, and then you start into some stockinette. And then you have this nice, lovely border of ribbing. And then my end that I need to weave in. So this shawl is a gorgeous, big but lightweight because of the lace shawl that you can just bunch up. Good travel scarf. It's gorgeous. It's very elegant looking. So, I am really enjoying this. The yarn that we used here, me, the yarn that I used is Red Stag Fiber Passport in the cobblestone fingering. So the cobblestone fingering, no, it's not cobblestone fingering, cottage fingering. The cottage fingering is a fairly new base that Josh just came out with, and it is a 75-25 merino nylon. No, it's not. It's an 80-20 merino nylon. Hold on. Let me double check. I was was right the first time. 75-25 merino nylon blend. So you get a nice crisp stitch definition. Whoops. And it just has a beautiful twist to it. And it was very nice. It did not split for me at all. You can see this nice stockinette. There you go. That's a better representation of the color. So it's mostly solid, but just slightly tonal. And this is the Passport color. So currently we are out of stock on it, but Josh is dyeing up a new batch of yarn this week, so it should be in the shop by the end of this week, first part of next week. And I'll make sure there is some Passport available. So this will be one of our store samples, and we'll get this displayed after I weave in the ends. And you can come check it out for yourself. So Kyler is a really nice pattern. It's by Isabel Kramer, and I would say it's very good for a lace beginner. Also good for chart reading for your first time. Now, the only drawback to reading a chart for the first time is there is no backup written instructions. But I feel that she really lays out the symbolism for your charts and really spells out what each symbol does, and there's no symbols that are very similar to each other. It's very clear and distinct. So if you read through the pattern in entirety, and then I got something on my sleeve. Anyway, if you read through the pattern entirely, I think it's a very good beginner chart reading and beginner lace pattern. Very easy. It's a simple 8-row and 8-row 7-stitch, I believe, repeat. So it's small, nothing huge to memorize. Again, I think it's a great one for beginners. Plus you have, I mean, it goes a long way. So by the end of it, you will know, and you will be very adept at lace knitting and reading from a chart. But you also get some stockinette, some purling, and some 1x1 rib to kind of break it up as well. So I think it's a great pattern. Any fingering weight. I would recommend 3 skeins of whatever color that you pick. The pattern calls for 1,000 yards, just over 1,000 yards. I would say I got right about that. My gauge is pretty much on, because I went through 2, and I would say, I haven't weighed it or measured it, but 2 full skeins and 2/3 to 3/4 of the 3rd skein of Josh's yarn. So if you know your gauge tends to run loose, you might want to just double check. I wouldn't say you needed 4 skeins by any stretch of the means, but unless you were getting half skeins or using it from stash, you may want to be a little careful on that. So that is finished object number 1. Finished object number 2 is still slightly damp from blocking. Again, I have to finish weaving in all my ends, but it is the Guthrie sweater. So the Guthrie sweater is all done, and at this time I am not going to steek it. I still have the option to steek it, and I have enough of my background color yarn to easily do button bands if I do, but at this time I'm going to, once it dries, I'm going to wear it and see how I like it as such. Now I followed the pattern to a T, meaning I did not do any of the extra repeats that it said were optional. I did the cuffs and the ribbing as per the pattern, and I did not the smallest size but the second to smallest size, which I believe she's calling just a small, not an extra small. So I believe when I put this on, because you can kind of see that this will be, I won't have negative ease, but I'm not going to have a lot of positive ease either. It's going to fit me like her black or navy blue and white one does. So it's a little more fitted. There's no real waist shaping or anything, and it's a little more cropped. And I will say the sleeves, I'm pretty sure the sleeves are going to be about here on me. Like I said, haven't tried it on yet, only because it's still slightly damp in some areas from blocking. So hopefully next time it will be cold enough that when I film my podcast that I can actually wear it, because right now it's like 70 something and extremely humid, muggy, foggy, icky. So this is the Guthrie. This is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, and it's a sweater. It's a colorwork sweater, all over colorwork. And the yarns that I used are not yarns that I carry, but we have many comparable yarns. I used Farmer's Daughter's fiber in her Craggy Decayed, which is a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a tweed decay. That was my background color. And then the colorwork portions, that was Spin Cycle yarns. The colorway for Spin Cycle, I believe, was Robin's Egg, and I think it was Robin's Egg, pretty sure. And the Farmer's Daughter fiber was Castle Rock, pretty sure. It's like a blue-gray combo. But we have plenty of DK weight yarns, so we can do super high contrast, meaning really graphic, like a black and white, or really navy blue and gold, things like that. Or I have some more color combinations that will be a little more subtle and more variegated and give you a look very similar to mine as well. So if you're interested, come on in and we can help you pick out some colors. Or if you want to tackle some color work, but maybe that one's not the one you want to start out with, you want to start with just a simple colorwork yoke or something a little bit smaller like colorwork mitts or something like that, let us know and we'd be happy to help you out. Okay. Now, as far as works in progress, I actually have several works in progress still going, but I only brought one with me today to work on. I have decided now when I come in to work, since I don't usually have a ton of knitting time here, my plan is to just bring one work in progress with me so that when I do get a few minutes here and there, I can hopefully build some rows up and not just do a tiny, 2 rows on that project, 2 rows on that project, 2 rows on that project, and get a little bit of nothing done. So this is my What the Fade by Andrea Mowry, and this is it. It is so pretty. Actually, this is how you would do it. Now, I did get a few rows done while we were gone on this. So I have here this deep leather-like color is Red Stag Fiber, and the color is Antique Leather. And then we go into Honeycomb by Ching Fibers, and then we go into, which one is this? I believe this is Cereal by Hedgehog Fibers, because then in the background colors I have Dijon. This might be Cereal and the other one's Dijon. I always get them confused. They're very similar, but just slightly different. And then we have Juniper, and then we have Hawk. So I am, I believe, 1 row away from being finished with the brioche section, and it will switch into garter stitch. So then it will be kind of a nice, easy, mindless knit that'll be great for up here at the shop when I can just grab a few rows or half a row in between running the yarn shop. You can ask just about any yarn shop owner. We rarely are able to knit at work. I mean, there's a few times when you can, obviously, but usually our time is filled up helping customers or tidying up the shop and all that fun stuff. It really is fun being a yarn shop owner. It's a lot more work than I think most people think it is, because you are running a legitimate business if you want it to succeed. But it's a lot of fun, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Okay, so now we are on to what's new in the store. Like I said, I have other works in progress. I have a cowl that is a shop sample that is being worked up in one of the yarns I'm about to show you. and that I'm hoping to finish by the end of the month so that we have that here as a shop sample for you guys. And I've got some other shop samples in the works done by a couple sample knitters that have reached out to me, and hopefully we can get them going and have some new samples for you in the shop as well. Fresh things for spring. So let's dive into what's new in the shop. After I sip my coffee. Okay. So you may have seen from Instagram that we got in an order of Tuft Woolens. Oh, I forgot that. Well, we have the wool soap bars. And so the wool soap bars are great. You can use them for your hands, obviously. You can use them for your wools. And so, like, if you're blocking something, you know, lather up the bar, get it good and wet in your bowl of water, get it a little sudsy, and then soak your item. You can also use it to rewash and reblock anything, your socks, stuff like that. And it's also good for your hair, for your body, hands, all that stuff, because it's a really nice all-natural soap. We have 4 flavors, scents: lavender, vetiver cedarwood, the refresh, which is kind of like a eucalyptus mint, I think vanilla or vanilla almond, I think. Yeah. Okay. No, mossy wood. That's what it is. Mossy wood, which is kind of a, I won't say cedarwood. It's more like a spruce, woodsy aroma. Okay. And then we got in the ever popular Tuft Woolens hand balms. Let me get them all up here. So, and we have them all as testers. This one is Mossy Woods, and so all you do is, oh, this is what I do. It looks like a little baby deodorant. I just do a couple swipes on my hands, and I like to do the back of my hand as well. Just on one, and then just kind of rub my palms together and rub the back of my hands together. My hands are moisturized, and they're not sticky. I can go right into knitting, typing on the computer, handling papers, anything like that. I also like to, especially at night, just do a little swipe over my cuticles, and I will say my cuticles have looked better than ever, and just kind of rub that in. So we have the Mossy Wood, which is lovely. It's definitely more of a spruce scent to me. Then you have Vanilla Almond, which is delicious. That's the vanilla almond. Refresh, which is that kind of eucalyptus-y mint. Really nice. Very refreshing. Chai Spice. Very nice. I'm usually not a big, like, chai spice, chai latte kind of scent person, but this is not overpowering. It's not like you get cinnamon, like, shoved up your nose. It's very subtle. You definitely get the tea of the chai, and then the spices and a little orange out of it. And then Campfire S'mores, which is a fun one. It's definitely the sweeter of a sweeter scent, but you get chocolate and toasted marshmallow and graham cracker kind of all in there. Really kind of, you want to just kind of swipe it on your lips. Which, speaking of lips, we also got in 2 flavors of the lip balm that she has. And the nice thing about all of her products is they all contain lanolin. So that's really good for your wools. It helps recondition the fibers, and it's really good for your hands too. It's all natural, very moisturizing. It's just wonderful. It doesn't leave a residue on your knits for either washing, or if you're putting the balms on your hand and then going back and knitting, it won't leave residues or turn it funny colors like some lotions will. In the lip balms, we have the honey and we have cardamom. So the honey smells like honey, and then the cardamom is actually my favorite. It's kind of, it smells like cardamom. So you have to like the spice cardamom, but cardamom to me has always smelled kind of fall, not like, kind of like a pumpkin spice. I hate to say pumpkin spice because it does not smell like pumpkin spice, but that's kind of the nostalgia fall thing that I get from it, because you get that it's very spicy, but at the same time there's a sweet hint to it. So, very good. We had 2 other scents, the Plum Amber and the Russian Flower, but those have already sold out. So we will be restocking. I'll try to restock both of those scents. I know they were very popular, and the new spring scents coming very soon. So stay tuned. Okay, then we got in some new yarn from a very, very long, far away destination. We got in yarn from New Zealand. So I struck up a conversation with a gal in New Zealand called Helen, and she is an indie dyer in New Zealand, and she works with really neat different bases. So she works with non-superwash yarn. She works with New Zealand breeds or Australian breeds. Gets her yarn spun right there in New Zealand. Like I said, a lot of the breeds come from New Zealand, so it's almost all entirely New Zealand or Australia sourced, New Zealand made, New Zealand dyed, and then shipped to us. So we got in 2 of her bases in pretty much all the colors that she offers. I think there might have been a couple colors that we didn't get this go round, but so the first base is called, and I apologize, Helen, if I am butchering this name, but I believe it's how it's pronounced, Aroha, and I believe it means happy. She sent me all of this information. I should have looked it up again before it was a couple weeks ago. But it is a hand-dyed 4-ply, so a fingering weight, and this is 90% merino cross with 10% Polworth. So this is more of a rustic wool. So for those of you looking for that rustic woolen spun yarn, because this is a woolen spun yarn, this is an amazing, amazing yarn for it. It's rustic. So if you compare this to Hedgehog or MCN or anything like that, you're going to say at first, oh, it's scratchy. But for a rustic wool, it is super soft. It is gorgeous. I would love having this next to my skin. This is just amazing yarn. There's no prickle at all. This is, of course, locally made in New Zealand. It is non-superwash, so you don't want to put this in the washing machine. This is a hand wash delicate item. But the cool thing is you will have amazing stitch definition with this yarn. I mean amazing. So if you want to do cable work, if you want to do color work, this will pop. And you can spit splice the yarn. So rather than having to weave in your ends or anything with non-superwash yarn, you can kind of take the 2 ends, peel apart the twist a little bit, put them together, moisten your fingers, spit water, whatever, rub with a little friction, and they will felt together. And you have no ends to worry about weaving in. You just continue knitting. So that's the brilliance of rustic yarns, in my opinion. But the nice thing with woolen spun is it creates a very light, lofty garment. So even though this is, I mean, it's a lot of yarn. It's about 400 yards of yarn. It's very light. It's very soft and lofty. So this is, let's see, what's the colorway? This is Haystack. This is actually what I'm knitting up a sample of a cowl in. But we also have, oh, that's the wrong one. That's a different base. Cayenne, lovely rusty color. The nice thing about all of her colors is they're kind of muted. My favorite jeans, perfect denim. I have In the Shadow, lovely graphite kind of color. Green Olive, perfect mossy green. Driftwood, a nice natural tone. This is Silver Fern. This is a really pretty, I would definitely call it a green. I know it's reading kind of more teal, but I would call it more of a green. It's beautiful. Then this one is the teal. This one is Southern Ocean. definitely teal. Then you have chocolate milk, which is a lovely, kind of a washed out chocolate brown. I love it. And then you have smashed blueberries and rosy cheeks. So we have a nice color array for anyone wanting to do color work, or if you're wanting to do like a cabled sweater or anything like that. We have sweater quantities in most of the colors. We have sold several of the colors already. But yeah, this would be gorgeous for color work. You could do a Guthrie. If you wanted to do a subtle Guthrie, I would do my favorite jeans and the Southern Ocean. It'd be very subtle and kind of like what mine is. If you wanted to do more high contrast, this would be a lovely combo. Beautiful high contrast. This would be a great combo. This would be a great combo. I mean, there's lots of options. There's just lots of options. And then we have the other base from Helen, which is, and I know I'm butchering this, Matariki. Probably just completely butchered it, but I'll let you take a look at that. These are all, the words are from the native Maori tribal language, the indigenous people of New Zealand. So this yarn, this is a DK weight. This is an 8-ply double knit DK weight. So this is actually the yarn you would need for a Guthrie because it is a DK weight. But the cool thing about this is it is locally made. It's 85% Australian organic merino, so that's cool. And then it is 15% brushtail possum. So brushtail possum is not the opossum that we think of when we are from Texas, Louisiana, southern U.S., or really anywhere in the U.S., the ugly little, basically large rat that we see. That's not it. The brushtail possum is still kind of in the same species, I guess, or not species, genus. I almost said botanist. Clearly I'm not a botanist or animal expert, but the brushtail possum, it has a much fluffier down-like fur, but the problem in New Zealand is it's not a native species, so it has overrun the population. It has no natural predator, and it's killing off the indigenous species like the kiwi bird and things like that that are now becoming endangered because of this possum. So they are looking for ways that they can use the fur and things like that when they catch them, so that they can make a little bit of profit and in turn help lower the population of the brushtail possums as well. So excuse me, it's so stinking soft. Like, okay, so this is rustic. This is not. This is floof. I mean, it's amazing. And I don't know if you can really tell, but there is a little bit of a halo, which is amazing. And it's just so soft. I'm just smelling Tuft Woolens because it's on my hands, but anyway. So this, we have a bunch of colors. This color itself is called West Coast Granite. We have Black Doris Plum. This is Wine O'Clock. That would make a beautiful low contrast Guthrie. This is Endless Pine Trees. This is a little more gray than the chocolate milk, but kind of a gray brown. This is Smoky Skies, a real nice dark denim. Silver Dollar Tree. That would make a nice combo. Driftwood. Silver Fern. My favorite jeans. Periwinkle. This one it's like the blue, but it has just a hint of purple. Mysterious Mauve. And Southern Ocean. So that's it for everything that's new in the shop. We have a couple events coming up I wanted to tell you about. So the trunk show for the month of February is Inner Loop Dye Works, and she'll be coming February 23rd from 10 to 4. So be sure and pop in and say hi to her. She's an indie dyer from the Houston area, inside the loop of Houston, and so we're happy to have her in the shop. The other thing going on, it's not in the month of February, but we have our 1-year anniversary, March 8th and 9th. So that is a Friday, Saturday. So please come to the shop on those dates. We're going to have prizes for everyone. We're going to have freebies for the first certain amount of people that come in. All of the details will be nailed down and announced in the March podcast and in our March email, and be going out on social media as well. But just know, if you come, I will have stuff set aside for March for the 8th and for the 9th. So it's not, don't worry about everything like going away on Friday. If you can't make it Friday, there'll be a whole new batch of stuff on Saturday. Same items, but making it fair for everyone. We're going to have some sort of treat. I still haven't figured out what exactly we're having, but there's going to be giveaways with purchases. There's going to be free items. And we are going to have a trunk show from Suburban Stitcher. Amazing. Both days she's going to be here. We're going to have a trunk show simultaneously with Josh from Red Stag Fiber. He is dyeing up a custom colorway for the shop for the anniversary. We're going to have custom anniversary items that you can only get that weekend. Possibly if there's some left over, we might have it, but I doubt, because I'm ordering small quantities, so when they go, they go. We're going to launch some new items that are coming into the shop then. So it's exciting. It really is. So stay tuned, watch your social media, and just come on March 8th and 9th. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is a little bit shorter episode than normal, but I don't have a ton of whips to talk about, and we didn't get a ton of shipments in this week, just the one. So thank you again for tuning in, and all of our details will scroll at the end if you're looking to contact us. We can be found on Instagram at The Modern Skein. I can be found personally at no, not at The Modern Skein. Well, you can reach me there at Mrs._Sharon_Graff, Graff. And so thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.